I mean, what we're trying to establish is that it's all related. That the strength of your financial services provider in helping you to achieve financial independence is a microcosm of the development of the country, or a precursor to the development of the country. And so, you know, we know what our role is, and we're very proud of our role, and we're going to serve that role. So, thanks, Richard. Next up is Mrs. Fayval Williams, and Fayval is the Deputy Opposition Spokesperson on Finance. Mrs. Williams is a chartered financial analyst with a Master's in Business Administration, concentrating on finance, from the Wharton Business School at the University of Pennsylvania. I know she's passionate about plans and actions for economic growth and development in Jamaica, so please join me in welcoming her to the podium. Fayval.
Thank you very much. Honorable Peter Phillips, Minister of Finance and Planning, Mr. Richard Powell, President and CEO of VM, Mr. William Mafood, PSOJ, fellow presenters at the head table, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm truly honored to be here representing Mr. Audley Shaw, the shadow spokesperson on finance for the Jamaica Labour Party, and to bring you greetings for the next 5 minutes. We believe the most important task confronting us today in our quest for economic independence is how to generate higher, sustainable, and widespread growth in Jamaica's gross domestic product, or GDP. We see a combination of factors, one of which, a very important one, is credit creation. For perspective, at the end of March 2015, the annual growth in the stock of commercial bank loans to private sector was 4%, compared to 11% at the end of March of the previous year, and compared to the average of 8.4% for the last 5 years ending March. That is more than a 50% decline in the growth rate relative to the 5-year average, and approximately 64% drop compared with the growth rate last year. Additionally, when one looks at the composition of the stock of commercial bank loan to the private sector, personal and other lending was running at a rate of almost 3%, meaning for every $1 lent to businesses, almost $3 would be lent to personal and other lending. This looks a little bit lopsided to us. Domestic credit to the private sector as a percentage of GDP is another ratio that we examine. Across the world, we see this ratio ranging from 4% in Afghanistan for the year 2014, to the United States at 196%, and Hong Kong at 253%. Jamaica's ratio was 30% in 2013. I'll be the first to admit that we're doing much better than Afghanistan, one of the least developed countries in the world, with a GDP per capita of about US 1,150. But we are very far away from the likes of Hong Kong. This may be an unfair comparison, but it gives a sense of what other countries do to achieve the economic growth rates they enjoy. GDP annual growth rate in Hong Kong averaged some 5.4%. From 1974 until 2015, some 40 years. Hong Kong is a major port and global financial center. Jamaica has started down that path to establishing an international financial services center aimed at transforming the country into an offshore financial hub. And maybe one day we'll get there. So we're not saying credit creation is the only factor. It is one of the factors and one of the first ones we should think about in our quest for economic independence. And so, having said all of that, it is very consistent for us to continue to call for the reinstatement of the tax incentives for the junior stock exchange and the reduction in stamp duty and transfer tax in the real estate sector. The history of the junior market has demonstrated that market as a significant source of capital, especially for small smaller Jamaican companies who use it for expansion and job creation that we so desperately need in Jamaica in order to move our people from poverty to prosperity. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me the chance to make this presentation.